A solemn ceremony in New Orleans to mark 20 years since Hurricane Katrina made landfall. Hundreds gathered Friday at the Industrial Canal Wall, which ruptured back in 2005, inundating the city's lower Ninth Ward. The storm claimed more than 1,400 lives in New Orleans, flooded 80% of the city, and scattered over 1 million people along the Gulf Coast across the nation. It's cost more than $200 billion, thanks to breaches in the city's levee protection system, failures that ultimately informed officials on how to better prepare for natural disasters. For New Orleans itself, Hurricane Katrina has become a true testament of grit. And while 100,000 people never returned, those that did are determined to keep striving.
When we started this project in 2017, it was full of tallow trees and trash.
Non-native.
Non-native. This is a part of our neighborhood restoration and planning efforts.
Rashida Ferdman is a bona fide conservationist.
And so we replanted this area with native cypress and bald cypress and tupelo trees.
Not just native plants, but wildlife too.
In this area, we've seen a 200% increase in bird species. So we have about 80 different types of bird species living here.
An added benefit to an area that for a long time didn't fulfill its potential as a buffer to storms and hurricanes.
The non-native trees don't create a healthy root system. They don't create what's needed for the anchorage, and they don't have the anchorage of the soil, and they don't have the longevity. So we're creating this healthy ecosystem that does create a buffer.
The we in this case is Sankofa, an organization of volunteers named after a mythical bird from Ghana, known for looking behind itself while continuing to move forward.
We felt inspired to do something and to build our community back and build it back better than it was.
On Ferdinand's porch, a community of Lower Ninth Ward residents joined forces, eager to find solutions to the lingering issues left behind by Katrina.
We looked through this lens of public health and environmental justice. Mortality rates, chronic disease rates, food, income, having employment. We look at those and decide what programs we need to bring to the fold in order to address those barriers.
20 years ago, Ferdinand was building an art career, had bought a home on the same street as 3 generations of her family had done before. Then the storm forced her to evacuate to Atlanta.
Earlier that day, I was actually with some friends at a park festival, and it still wasn't resonating to us that we needed to leave.
She returned 6 months later to a house that fared better than most. What was your reaction when you saw your home?
It was a numbness because so much had happened. The neighborhood looked devastated. And I also felt very, very fortunate, very grateful that I had a house, that I had my life. I was safe. I had family.
A family who already knew what it takes to survive.
Falling trees are knocking out telephone lines all over town.
That's because 60 years ago, both her parents lived through Hurricane Betsy.
Roaring across the Industrial Canal into the southeast section of New Orleans.
A Category 4 storm that also wreaked havoc on the lower 9.
In Betsy's wake, there's only darkness, confusion, and death.
My father's family were on the roof for 3 days. And my grandmother wrote a 16-page letter about that ordeal, which it's a testament of beauty and hope and resilience and power. That's a sickening sight, your furniture floating in your own home.
Her grandmother's letter was among the papers Ferdinand saved before she evacuated.
A child whimpered, but no one cried out or panicked. It ended with service. It ended with saying, we have each other and we have our community and we're going to do something about that.
Those words provided hope and inspiration that she could do it too.
So we pitched an idea for using this open space as a place for food access.
So this is like the main drag in the lower 9.
Yeah, this is the St. Claude Avenue corridor. It's a historic commercial corridor in the neighborhood.
And the perfect spot to create the Fresh Start Market, a permanent version of the open air space that started it all in a community considered a food desert.
It's a green grocery store. We started this to bring fresh produce into the neighborhood, and It opened last year, September of 2024.
Dr. Lakeisha Williams is not just a customer, she also runs Xavier University's community engagement for minority health research and education.
20 years later, here we are, still seeing a community that is in that process of still trying to see what's next.
At one point, local leaders considered plans to shrink the footprint of the city, which would have green spaced the lower Ninth Ward, further upsetting generations of homeowners that were already struggling to get back.
We had enemies who want to keep us out of here. The smaller footprint means you don't want my mama back. You don't want my grandkids back.
I was a homeowner. 35 years I worked to pay for the property that I own, plus my rentals.
Roughly 65% of the lower Nine's population never returned. That's about 10,000 residents.
So those people who did come back, what are they shouldering?
Gosh, they're shouldering each other. Everybody came together and said, hey, enough is enough. We're going to make sure that we pull our resources together. Even if nobody else wants to pull those resources into our community, we're going to do what we need to do to make sure that we come back even more and strong.
So are these cypress trees new?
Fairly new, they're about 20 years old.
Whether it's in a food market or in this park, Rashida Ferdinand's goal is simple: to nourish her community, whether it's the land, the people, or their minds.
It gives people a feeling of hope. We have STEM education classes where children come with their teachers and they learn about ecosystems, they learn about how our biological systems work. It's an opportunity to build future climate specialists, engineers, grounds maintenance professionals, people who understand the importance of our native landscape, and just understand how being in a nature-based space is a normal part of our life and should be.
That project and so many others that Rashida has embarked upon is helping not just the lower Nine, but the city as a whole, as a buffer, as a way to create more community, more neighborhood unity, because that's a community that really did not get what it deserved in the comeback and recovery.
A meaningful mission, a meaningful story,
Thank
Michelle.
you.
Absolutely.